Joining us are wonderful comedian and podcast host Deborah Frances-White and wonderful poet and teacher Jaspreet Kaur. Hello. Hi, both of you.
Good morning to you both.
Hi, guys.
So, Jaspreet, let's start with the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, making a statement this week about the portrayal of Jesus. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this was a really interesting article that I was actually really happy to see that came out in The Guardian this week. And it was a discussion that the Anglican Church should reconsider the way that statues and other representations of Jesus portray him as white. In the light of the Black Lives Matter protests, the Church is reconsidering this portrayal of Jesus as always shown as a white man. So I'm really glad I saw this article this week and that the Archbishop is actually considering this and considering the portrayal of Jesus, not only in paintings, but also statues and kind of other representations of him.
Personally, I think this is brilliant. One of the most, if not the most recognisable character in history has been whitewashed, and we're outing that now. He turns out he was a man with dark skin. But there will be many people who are saying, does it really matter? Can't we just keep it the same?
Yeah, absolutely. It does matter. And as a history teacher, obviously, I'm very passionate about historical accuracy. And I think we really need to deconstruct this white lens that we apply both to history and to faith as well. And Jesus was not a white man. If we think about the geographical location that he was in, he would have been somewhat closer to a Middle Eastern looking man, darker skin tone, darker hair, darker eyes. And the portrayal that we often see in the West in the paintings and the pictures that we see is actually based off a portrayal that was created during the Byzantine era. And they actually based that painting off the emperor of the time. So it is not an accurate representation. And obviously different cultures and different places in the world portray Jesus in different ways. There's obviously Black Jesus, Asian Jesus, but the dominant one that we see is this white Jesus with blonde hair, blue eyes, which isn't accurate.
So, Deborah, do you think that the historical accuracy matters? I mean, if the idea is that God came to each one of us, is it not fine that we represent God like us because he was coming to share lives with us?
I don't know. I just feel like he's a Middle Eastern man. We know he was a man who lived. Josephus talked about him, and I feel like in the Gospels, surely they would have led with he's super white. Like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John would have been like, he's whiter than any of us. He's clearly an ethereal being or something like that. There's no way Jesus was white, and I feel like if we go around the world colonizing, taking our religion with us and saying, look, we went to the Middle East, we took this religion, now we're going to sell it everywhere else. But of course, he's the perfect man. So of course, what does the perfect man look like? White. That's part of the white supremacy structures we need to be dismantling at the moment. So I think this is a great conversation to be having.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful that we've had it then. Now, a story... Conversation done. Next conversation. I noticed, I mean, not that wasn't very interesting, it was interesting, but I noticed this story, which is pandemic etiquette. So we're apparently in British people love precedents, we love to know how to behave, and the pandemic has thrown up a real... loads of tensions, particularly between the two groups of one group of people who've been, maybe NHS workers who've been very traumatised by what they've seen in the pandemic, and people who are shielding people, and other people who've just been sunbathing in their gardens. So one group who really want to maintain social distancing and the other group that doesn't. So what do you do when friends come round? Should they wear a mask? Should you force them to wash their hands? Debrett's has stepped in and given us some tips. They suggest we say things like, oh, I wish I could give you a hug, or feel free to use the bathroom. Did you see the story, Deborah?
Yes, I did. And I think it's probably quite a good thing that we're coming into an age of more communication, clearer consent. When I was a kid, it was just like, kiss your auntie, kiss your uncle, even if you didn't feel like it, or you felt a bad vibe in a moment or something like this, you were forced to thrust your face onto their face. So I think it's a great thing. And my friends who are dating, by the way, are saying it's really gone very Pride and Prejudice. It's taking a turn around the park, 2 meters away from each other and having a distance picnic. And then, of course, the follow-up by text message is far more Austen-esque than it would have been if it had been, right in there. Wham bam, thank you, Marks
It's a
and
bit
Spencer.
confusing, though, isn't it? So if you say, "I wish I could give you a hug," to signal that you can't give them a hug, you mustn't you don't want them to give you a hug. Do you say, "I wish I could have sex with you," as a signal that you don't want to?
Gosh, I'd love to put my tongue in your mouth. I mustn't. Mr. Darcy, were only I to unbutton your trousers, but I mustn't.
I was getting so tired of lockdown, but this just has brought a whole new light to it. I love lockdown. I mean, this.
Let's make it clean. Just preach.
Yeah.
How is this going to affect faith practice, do you think?
I guess faith practice, well, what I would like to highlight is, I definitely feel what Deborah's highlighted is that communication is key here, that we are communicating with one another about what we're comfortable with, what we're not comfortable with. As a person that is quite affectionate, I do love giving hugs. I do love giving cuddles. So I've found this really hard, not even being able to hug my family members when I've seen them after a long time. So it is a difficult thing, but I think communication there is key. And I think we can lean into other cultures here. If I think about Eastern cultures, in the Sikh community, we would say Sat Sri Akal with our hand like this. Obviously, the Hindu community would say Namaste. In Japan, they would kind of lean forward and in a sign of respect. So there are other cultures in the world that do not have that physical kind of touch when they are greeting one another. And I guess in the faith communities, we need to consider this as well when we're practicing worship. Is there any points of physical contact that we might have to be putting aside for now?
Yeah. So Deborah, rather appropriately, this next story was spotted online, wasn't it?
Yes, I spotted it on the Evening Standard online. According to Ofcom, British people are spending a quarter of their day online in lockdown. I think they're liars. I don't think anyone is spending as little as a quarter of their day online. We're spending all of our day online. If you've got meetings, it's Zoom calls. If you've got an exercise class, it's online. And in between those things, you're scrolling, you're checking out banana bread recipes. Who's not online at any point? We're online now. This is just a lie. They are lowballing it. And if you're online all the time, even virtually when you're asleep, you're fine. Relax. It's the only way we've got to communicate.
Do you think this is having negative effects on us, Jaspreet? I mean, what are your online habits?
Well, I do think I agree with Deborah. I think we're on it all day long, realistically. And I do think we need to be cutting down our internet use, our social media use more specifically. I try and make sure I'm only using it for a little bit in the morning, maybe half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. And I do take times in the year where I log off everything, delete all the apps off my phone, especially around kind of Christmas time or New Year's time. I try and remove myself off it because I feel I'm quite passionate about deep work as well as deep rest. Anyone that's read Cal Newport's book on deep work would show you that to have any work that is really meaningful and thoughtful and to have any rest that is meaningful, we need to do that without any distractions, and social media is the biggest distraction. So I think we do need to be conscious about the use of it and reducing it, getting outside, being in nature if we can, but our lives do revolve around it as well, so kind of finding that balance that is healthy for each of us.
So Deborah, you know how we don't have any self-control?
I do. Well aware. Well, I've none.
And you know how we're really gullible and buy stuff that they tell us to buy. But they brought out a new phone. It's called the Light phone.
Yeah, I've got the box here. I thought it had the phone in it. I thought it's actually a really light phone, but that's just the lead, isn't it? You've got the phone.
I've got the phone, and it does look kind of cool. It looks like a Game Boy.
I'm buying it now. It looks cool. It's purchased. Do you want one too? I bought another one. I bought one for you.
She's bought it on her smartphone.
Okay, so this is. It looks really, really cool, but it doesn't have much. It doesn't do much, does it? Sean?
So basically, you can phone and you can text with it.
And it's $350, cheap at the price.
Yeah. So the idea is
sure
that
I've got
the
a
makers
Nokia
want you to
somewhere
spend
that-
less time on your phone, and it actually looks really cool, like a smartphone, but it doesn't do all those things. I mean, you can go out and buy one of those old Nokia
Yeah.
phones, can't you, for 30 quid?
It's
This
ba-
is $350, isn't
It's
it?
basically, it's the trophy wife of phones. It's not terribly smart, but it looks great. And it's quite
Wow.
expensive.
Wow, Danny Phillips, you're a feminist art. You just described that as the trophy wife of phones. All I'm going to say is I'm not going to spend $350 so somebody can take Instagram away from me. If I wanted to be off Instagram, I would have taken it off myself, and I clearly haven't. So I clearly don't want that.
Yeah.
So, Sean,
Yeah.
yeah, Sean, moving away from feminism, all the way around back to feminism
Never.
again. You've spotted an advert that's talking about a story about masculine language.
Yeah, so this is an advert published by a water company, and they realised that not many women were applying for the job. And then they
Can I
researched
just
into
say it was a sewage company.
I know. Many men were interested and women weren't. But they realised that actually the wording, so they use words like, well, masculine words like competitive and champion, and that's what was putting the women off. And when they started to use words and phrases like close-knit team and family feel, loads more women applied for the job. I mean, Deborah, are words a barrier for things like this?
I mean, as small children, we're coded, we're told, you get into this group and you get into this group. I mean, I find it absolutely fascinating that a sewage company is using words like champion and competitive anyway. I mean, in a very real way, nobody's fooled. The women were not fooled by that ad. They were like, I think we're dealing quite clearly with crap. These were, when they said it's a family, but well, if it's a family feeling, we're all going down the sewer together. That seems like... I don't think women are fooled. I think all of these things are great qualities. It's great to be confident. It's great to be collegiate. And I think the problem is the binary where you go, women are only interested in collaborating and men are only interested in winning. We've all got people in our family. We've all played Trivial Pursuit and Monopoly. We all know women love to win and can tip the board up, and men can go, oh, I'll slide you an extra card. We are not fooled by this. And what we have to do is start getting over that, and the way we talk to our children and each other. We just need to get rid of this idea that we come in only two teams.
And Jaspreet, briefly, because we're running out of time here, my daughter's 22, she's just graduated from university. I want her to be responding to words like champion and confident just as much as family feel and close-knit. It's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And what Deborah's highlighted here is we need to get to the root cause of the problem. And it's that from a very young age, we're teaching boys to grow out, and we're teaching them to be confident and brave, and we're teaching girls to be submissive and quiet. And we need to deconstruct all of that from quite early on. But also to accept that all of these qualities are all important. Then not one should be weighted higher than others. So yeah, I think we need to get to the root cause of it to really tackle this.
Jaspreet, Deborah, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you both. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.